I'm Anaya, your bridge to independent thought and deeper understanding of self. And today we're talking about change and the fear of being perceived and how they kind of intertwine, interconnect the intrapersonal relationship between the two. So, mainly when I look back and I think about my past selves, sometimes I'll see a picture and be like, girl, what were you doing? Specifically, myself in high school. Um, but yeah, do you ever look back at those past versions of yourself? The version of you that wore that specific makeup or that style that was trendy, and you look back like, oh, I was wearing way too much blush. Or I couldn't find a full size shirt, it had to be a crop top. I think that has a lot to do with whatever happened in that season. Someone at some point in your life has judged you for how you look, so you judge yourself for how you look. And that's not okay because we need to make amends with the past versions of ourselves and be nice to our 13-year-old self and our 18-year-old self and our 20-year-old self, because those are the versions that brought you through that point that was whatever type of difficult it was, and it made you who you are today. And I think we fear being perceived because we have been the perceiver of ourselves in a negative light. So we do that to ourselves and we think other people are doing the same thing to us because that's the relationship that we have with ourselves. But if we heal the relationship between us and our past selves and any version of ourself, our self of yesterday, our self of last week, then we no longer associate, being seen as, we no longer associate being seen with being judged. Let's get into it. Yeah, so I was thinking about that because, I've also had a moment where I felt like I was judged in the wake of being seen, and it keeps me back from expressing myself. I think the greatest joy of this lifetime is being able to be who you are wherever you are. I don't know where I got this from, maybe because I'm introverted, maybe because ABCD, but I definitely have a filter. I was just talking about this with someone today. She said, I don't really have any thoughts in my brain because whatever I'm thinking comes right out my mouth. And I was like, girl, I'm the exact opposite. Whatever I say has already gone through a filter. And I would love to, with discernment, just say whatever I want to say. But there was that moment, that first moment where I felt like what I said or what I did was being judged. But it's my job to look back and heal that, do my own shadow work, and be the new judger of whatever version of myself existed and was called whatever name, or had my style judged, or things that I said, things that I did. It's so freeing. Oh my God, I love seeing people that, here's something specific, who yawn really expressively. And when I see that, I'm like, they're in their element. She in her mood. Do you ever just like want to yawn or something, but you're like, people are around, so I'm not going to do that? Or people who talk really loudly, people who speak their mind and are able to speak up in groups. Sometimes I have a hard time speaking up for myself, period, because I think that has a lot to do with my throat chakra. My throat chakra is kind of closed. The other day, I went to go get my aura photographed, which is when they take a camera like this one, they photograph you, and we all have these energies that are surrounding our person, and they show up in different colors. So, yeah, and she also had me put my hand on this little machine, and it showed my chakras and which ones were open and blocked. And my throat chakra was pretty much closed, so much to where she was like, oh, like she lowered her voice, and then she started talking to me about what I could do to improve my throat chakra. But one of those things is, it has a lot to do with expression and self-confidence and speaking up for yourself. So I think in the practice of, in the moment when you feel like you need to say something or do something, do it without the fear of being judged. And the only way you're going to get to heal that part of yourself is to trust that you're making the right decision for your throat chakra, for your self-confidence, to heal and get better and show up authentically in this world. It has a lot to do with authenticity as well. So, yeah, I'm out here trying to speak up for myself, and I just hear, I don't know, like this like pumping in my brain. Like I can hear my blood flowing. It courses through my body. I start shaking. I start getting upset. But as soon as I set the attention to improve and heal my throat chakra, I got 3 instances to where I was able to practice standing up for myself and creating boundaries with people in my life. And I'm like, oh my God, ask and you shall receive. But did I ever want to receive? Yes. And I think speaking up for yourself also ties into the fear of being perceived. Because sometimes you think, if I speak up for myself, what are other people going to think about me? Are they going to think I'm a mean person now? Because we're all wearing the mask of nice girl. We all want to be the nice girl that people go to and no one ever has any problems with. We all want to be that girl, but it's okay if 1 or 2 people don't think that you're a nice person just because you stood up for themselves. And how they perceive you is only a reflection of whatever is going on in their lives. It has almost nothing to do with you. And vice versa. If someone thinks that you're a good person, that's also a reflection of what's in their lives. Maybe they're a good person, so they assume the best for most people. But that just ties into how, we're afraid of being perceived, and we try to control the narrative and how people see us in this world. But when you release that control, it becomes easier to just exist in peace and not worry about what others think of you. Because 9 times out of 10, others aren't even thinking of you. They're thinking of themselves. People are naturally inclined to think about themselves first before anyone else. Like, I don't know about you, but I'm thinking about me all day. So I can only assume that everyone else is doing the same thing. I read about this in the book called How to Win Friends and Influence People, how the sweetest sound on earth to a person is someone's name. And not to worry about like what others think of you because they're only thinking of themselves. But yeah, anyways, it's okay to be perceived as whatever because it's out of your control. And it's probably not going to affect your life anyway, unless we're talking about networking or important career relationships. But besides that, like if someone walks right in front of you while you're standing in line, hey, I was in line. Say something like that. I had that happen to me. Literally, I was in line. Lady walked right in front of me and I said, "Excuse me, I was in line." And she was like, oh, like, whoa, girl, you saw me? What do you mean, whoa? That's how I felt when I saw you cut in front of me. Whoa, girl. But it felt great. Like in the moment, I was like, like I have to speak up for myself. And it's not even a big deal. I want to let little things like this go. I want them to disappear into the ether and to never see them again because they don't matter. They don't matter at all. I don't care. I don't care. But I have to practice speaking up for myself anyway. And my main goal is to maintain this homeostasis of peace. And if something interrupts my peace, I can cut it off so fast. But for the sake of my throat chakra and my health, I need to have the ability to be able to say, hey, that wasn't right. I didn't appreciate that, because going ghost and turning your back and running away from your problems isn't always the best solution. And it probably causes a lot of backup and residual things that you're going to have to fix later when you do your shadow work in your shadow work journal. But yeah, showing up authentically, I think once you start doing that consistently, you create this pattern and your body starts to remember what it feels like to show up authentically, and what it feels like to show up, period, and have your voice heard. Then you start creating this identity, and once you see yourself creating the identity, it comes you become the perceiver. You become the audience to, whatever type of image you want to show up as. And it's not just other people seeing you in that moment and judging you. No, you are the audience and the performer. If you don't speak up, if you don't hold a stable place within this earth and show up authentically, then you don't have any evidence of seeing what it looks like to be. And you only know what you are and how, like, the best version of yourself if you consistently choose to show up authentically. If you're showing up as all these different versions, it's okay to change. It's okay to be different, because I'll get into it later, but it's okay to change. But if we're changing for the sake of validation from the external, that's when it becomes inauthentic, and that's when you don't have a solid place in this reality, in this continuum. It's like, who am I? Am I showing up for the people in my life that I love, or am I showing up for me and who I think I should show up as and what feels most authentic to me? So I'm going to get back into like the past versions of ourselves. We have whoever we were in our 20s, in our 30s, in our 10s. Just whoever we were when we were young, and you look back and think like, man, why did I make that decision? Like, if I could only go back and change this about my life, change that about my life. But in life, there's it's either good or you're learning. Like, there's no loss, because everything you've been through in this life has made you exactly who you are today. And if you can say that you're proud of that, good. If you can't say that you're proud of the person that you've become today, then you can make the choice to start showing up more authentically as the person that you want to be. And think like, what type of life do I want to be living? Who do I want to be in this life? And then decide to be that person today. That's the only way. It takes 1 second to decide. It takes 1 second to decide to be the person that you want to be. And that can just be, what am I going to have for breakfast today? What is my highest self going to have for breakfast today? When is my highest self going to bathe? Is my highest self going to take a shower? Get my ass up, take a shower right now? Or is my highest self going to wait and then maybe not? I don't know who that applies to, but whoever it did, you needed to hear that. Is my highest self going to get up and go for a walk or go to the gym? Is my highest self going to read a book? Is my highest self going to, go fishing? Is my highest self going to talk to that person that I want to talk to so I can start making friends? Is my highest self just going to research how do I start talking to people that I want to talk to because I want to make friends? Is my highest self going to spend my entire afternoon after work on TikTok? Or is she going to spend the first half watching trash YouTube and brain rot TikTok, and then the second half, self-care, yoga, breathing, breath work? What is my highest self going to do? So once you start showing up in that authenticity, I think it's very interwoven with trust and perception. You become the audience, and it's not about anyone else. I also like to think about when you're in public and you see somebody, even if they're doing some weird stuff, do you really think about them again ever past, like, let's say 24 hours? I can't remember anyone in public that I've seen that was doing something weird, honestly, that comes to mind right now. So be that person. I can't remember anybody I've seen with a selfie stick. But when you pull it out, don't you feel foolish? I want to take this camera out to the park so bad so I can just be like in front of the bushes and stuff. And I want to be out in my front yard, but I have neighbors who are facing my front door and they can see me. So it's like, whenever I want to do my yoga on my blanket, I'm like, I am the performer and the audience. And I've just accepted that I'm putting on a show. And when I'm in downward facing dog and I look up and my neighbor's looking straight at me, I'm like, it doesn't really faze me anymore. But talking on a camera, we gotta grow. We gotta grow past that. But yeah, I think once you start showing up authentically and then you look back at your past self right now, in the future, you're looking back at yourself now and you're thinking, man, that version of myself in my 20s, 30s, whatever, is so different from who I am now, but she was so authentic that I respect her. I respect that she chose to be 100% of who she was in that moment, and I admire her for that. I hate when I look back and I'm like, I wasn't even being authentic. Here I am looking all crazy with this makeup look or with this fashion choice, and I was just trying to look good for other people, or I was just wearing what was trending then. I think a big part of showing up authentically is also wearing what makes you comfortable, not buying that shirt that's a little bit too tight because you got the dopamine and you're shopping and you're just like, oh my God, I gotta have the shirt. You could put it back. You could put it back. You could put it back and then come back later, and if it's still there and you still want it, you can get it, but it still don't fit. So just buy clothes that fit you. Or following that makeup trend where, for me personally, when it comes to blush, I've found that putting it up at like the top of my cheek and running up towards my eyebrow, it doesn't really work for me. I know that's trending, but I kind of like it a little bit lower. Like, see what works for you and don't just follow everyone else. It's okay to try new things. And yeah, I really hope this message helps how, change is okay as long as you're changing because you're coming into a new era for yourself and not changing because someone's telling you, I like the way this looks or I don't like the way this looks. I think a very, very huge trailblazer in this area is FKA Twigs. I know y'all know her. If you don't know her, look up some interviews about her latest project, Eusexua. And she just talks so much about individuality and authenticity, and the way she expresses herself is unlike any other artist I've ever seen. And she's not afraid to dance kind of weird, to do a certain little pose, little hairstyle. Like, she is just so authentically herself, and I see myself in her sometimes when I think of the way I used to dress and the way I've wanted to move. And it's so much more worth it. You either have the pain of regret of not being who you've always wanted to be, or the pain of, being in public and having people watch you and they're not even going to remember you anyway. So why are we performing for these NPCs? Why not be the NPC? When I go for a walk, I'm taking my sim on a walk, and none of it is that serious. Oh, hi Minerva. So yes, please show up in your authenticity and make peace with the past versions of yourself, because those versions that you showed up as were the versions that you needed to get you through that period in your life. They showed up for you. So look back on them in kindness, and I hope this video helps and gives you some guidance, and I hope you see yourself in me. I hope to only be a mirror to whoever needs this message, and please like it, throws it into the ether. This is my second YouTube video channel ever. Second YouTube video channel, and so second YouTube video. So thank you so much for returning to my channel. I'm so grateful authentically that you guys, that I'm creating a community here. I really want there to be a community. So please like the video, please subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.